Here comes the facelifted Audi A4. It arrives on the war front, fighting against the SUV onslaught. Here comes a dog?
The facelifted Audi A4. A dinosaur, pretty much. Not because it would be old, but because this segment of cars is just disappearing. And I just don't understand why. Why do people prefer to buy a more expensive, more often than not smaller and less equipped car, but it's an SUV and drives worse than this, which will probably be cheaper in the long run, looks better, and is more comfortable? Why would you choose an SUV over a car like this? Logic.
Yes, sometimes I ask myself whether I'm just old or a lot of people just don't compare these SUVs to a proper family car. After all, just look at this A4. It looks much nicer and more sporty than a lifted, inflated so-called sports utility vehicle.
This test model has the S-Line package, which of course means that the car looks a bit more aggressive. You get 19-inch alloy wheels. You also get, of course, the most important thing, which is the S-Line badging. But I also like, this isn't part of the S-Line, but I like the matrix look of the LEDs. It's just a nice little design. And if you come back here, oh yeah, you also get the excellent S-Line steering wheel, which I think is very nice to use. I really like what they did with the rear lights, with the LEDs. They're not OLEDs, like on the A8, for example, but they do give you that sort of feeling, and they're a bit animated as well. I like that a lot. Also, Audi said, we're going to do something for both sides of the exhaust parties. And what I mean by that is some people dislike the fake exhausts and some people love them. So you've got a fake exhaust here, and you've got another fake one, but it actually does have an exhaust pipe in there. There you go, equilibrium.
The test model showed a lot of optional extras you can choose, like the digital instrument cluster and S-Line package, which includes the S steering wheel. And here's the lovely jet fighter shifter I love. The seats were wrapped in leather but lacked ventilation, which means you'll be quite hot in the summer days. I do recommend taking that option.
You know, even though I've driven quite a few Audis by now, A6, A7, A8, also the smaller ones, A3, A1, and so on and so forth, and the Qs, I'm always surprised by just how well they drive and how well they ride as well. And I really shouldn't be shocked by now because, well, I should come to expect it from these sorts of cars. But yeah, it is. It is quite a surprise when you sit in, and it's a fairly big car. I mean, it's an A4, it's not the biggest obviously, but nowadays that's pretty much considered a larger car. And you don't expect it to be that good in the corners, for example. That's stiff. And but not suspension-wise. I mean, suspension-wise, it's actually quite good. This is the S-Line package, but I feel like it's a cruiser almost, because it rides very nicely, and on longer stretches of roads you wouldn't really have any problems. If I was doing long distance driving all the time, I probably wouldn't go for these S-Line seats, which are quite nice, very supportive, but I feel just a little bit less comfortable than they should be. This test model has the 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine with 190 horsepower. So it's definitely not the most powerful engine you can get by far, and I would have liked either the 240 horsepower one, but I think Audi doesn't even offer that. They go for the V6s, and I did test the V6 engines as well, which are brilliant and sound very nice. And I was expecting to really want to go back to that Volkswagen Passat 240 horsepower engine, for example. Even though I did already test a 191, which is in this one, in the Škoda Superb, for example. And it was brilliant. And I do have to say that it's the same thing here. It's definitely not quite as brutal as the 241, but it's also not as thirsty. And of course, because you have Quattro drive here, all-wheel drive, it's not a problem getting up to speed when you're at a standstill if you really need it. For example, just then I was not here, but before I was recording, I was coming from a small road and going onto a main road, and there was a bit of gravel on the ground, and I needed to get going because there were cars coming. I put my foot down and absolutely no squealing, no problem with the Quattro drive. So, cows. That was very nice. And I have to say, this engine is lovely. So I was talking about consumption as well. I said that, you know, the 241, are you going to change gears? There you go. The 241 is going to be a lot thirstier than this one. And that's true. I see it with my colleague's Volkswagen Passat. He can do pretty good economy, but when he wants to have a little bit of fun, the average fuel consumption can quickly go into the 8 liters per 100 kilometers. And of course, you know, every car is going to do this if you push it. But over here, for example, the 190 horsepower is a pretty good compromise between the 150 horsepower one, which is more economical, and the 241, which is more thirsty, or, well, in Audi's option here with the V6s. But this one, right now, the average consumption is 6.7 liters per 100 kilometers. That is not with economic driving. It's also not mad driving, but you know, it's something in the middle and having full throttle every now and then. So I think for a car like this and a mixture of city driving and motorway driving, that is actually pretty darn good. 6.7, and that's probably gonna go down more as I drive slowly or slower and more economical. And for a car like this with Quattro drive, I would say that's an excellent result. But the nicest thing about this car by far is, like I said, how it drives when you're wanting just to relax. If you have high blood pressure, or if you're a nervous, anxious person, get an Audi. Get a bigger Audi, A4, A6, A7, maybe A8. Because all of these cars that I've just told you about, when I drove them, they really made you feel calm and relaxed. And that's in part due to the way it rides very smoothly, partly due to the excellent steering wheels. I love the S-Line steering wheel. It's very nice to hold. In part due to the sound dampening windows and windshield and so on. And it's just, a lot of the time you won't hear much else than a bit of perhaps wind noise at higher speeds, and the wheels on the asphalt. So, I mean, you know, right now I could practically whisper to you because it is just so quiet in here, despite the fact that we're going uphill at 50 kilometers per hour. So what about the looks inside? Well, you've got this digital instrument cluster, you've got this big TV screen right up there on the dashboard. I'm not a giant fan of that. I would rather see that incorporated into the dash, but that's just my opinion. Some people like that. It's got a bit of a bezel as well, but you know, generally it looks pretty nice. I love the climate controls. They look absolutely fantastic. They've got these, do you hear that? They've got these lovely, lovely mechanical switches for the temperature, which Audi always had, and unfortunately is now getting rid of with the touchscreen only controls in the larger Audis. But yeah, I absolutely love that. Also the little switches for the climate controls that control other things. It's just very nice. Just one thing, this car has the optional piano black plastic. I don't know why you'd want that, because after half a millisecond when you buy the car, it will get completely dirty. There's dust on it, there's fingerprints, everything. Like I always say, piano black plastics, you know, glossy plastics in cars only look good in brochure pictures, in photos. As soon as that's done, have fun cleaning it with a microcloth.
Audi A4 Avant starts at 36,000 euros. For the fully equipped model, with the most powerful diesel V6 and practically all the bells and whistles, you'll be paying 81,000 euros.